Well, good morning. Guess what time it is? Sunday, like 9 o'clock. And I know I said I'd do these like every week, but night shift and getting sick with whatever this sinus crap is that's been going around has been absolutely brutal. So, a couple updates. I pulled the valve covers off and painted them. I've still got some cleaning to do down in the valley, but we've got everything just about cleaned up. And we pulled the timing belt, we pulled the water pump. We'll get all this grease cleaned up and get everything painted. And then there's my big mess of everything that needs to be put back together. So, ignoring the mess, I've got another job today. So, in our infinite wisdom, we bought another Volkswagen. We've had just about every generation. And the other day in the bad weather, my wife popped an EPC light, started cutting power, started missing and backfiring, all kinds of crazy crap. And we paid for the really expensive bumper-to-bumper warranty. And I'll say this because we've dealt with a bunch of Volkswagen dealers. Sales have always been great. We get really good people, easy to deal with, finance great. But it doesn't matter what Volkswagen branch, whoever owns the franchise, the sales and service departments have always been, not the sales, sorry, the service department and parts people, although polite, the service just sucks. We were well over a week out to even get the car looked at. They told us the towing was only valid for 1 year after the purchase of the car, which we have the warranty paperwork. It's good till 150,000 miles. And then they didn't want to deal with the rental because our Volkswagen dealer is an hour away. So started looking and realized that there's a pretty good chance the transmission filter that hadn't been changed can cause all these issues with the fuel injector cut, the cam position sensor, just random soft codes. So today, I'll be going down in here somewhere and finding all the broken stuff. But before I do that, I've got to get up under it and take that splash shield off and drop the pan. So I'm not going to show you taking the splash shield off. That's pretty straightforward. But I'll pick it back up when I get to getting the pan and the drain plug down. So, see you in a minute. Welcome back. You're now joining me underneath my wife's 2019 Volkswagen Passat. And we got lucky. I was afraid that this car might have a DSG trans because it's the R-Line. It does not. It turns out the DSG only came in the TDIs and the VR6s. So we're lucky, standard old pan here, drain plug that I'm gonna soak and hopefully not break. And then we take a bunch of bolts out, right, and we drain everything. And then I have to figure out where to fill it. I get the feeling that little plug right there is where I have to fill it from. I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna accomplish that yet. But we'll see. So there's a reason I didn't show you taking the heat shield off or the splash shield. And mostly it's because there was a whole lot of cussing as I dropped dirt and dropped bolts and stuff like that. So I'll try and get this plug out right here. And when I get the pan off, we'll see what we got, okay? So back in a bit. Well, we got lucky. The drain plug came out without much issue at all. The fluid's definitely somewhat dark. Doesn't smell burnt. And we'll see what the filter and the magnets in the bottom of this pan look like as I start taking these bolts off. Now they're 10mm bolts. And guys, girls, don't take this stuff to a shop. This is like 80 bucks in parts. Maybe an hour and a half of your time if you go slow and you got to go back to the garage 10 times like me because you forget where your tools are. But a shop's going to charge you, I don't know, 300, 400, 500 bucks depending. And this is all very doable. You just take your time, go slow. YouTube has plenty of resources out there. But the process is about the same for all of them, right? If you got a drain plug, you take it out. Oh, that fluid's getting a little darker. You take your pan off. Your filter will be held on by 2 or 3 bolts. And you take that off and you change it. You clean up the pan, clean the magnets off. And installation's the reverse. And, when you got a Volkswagen and you got this kind of fill method and there's no way to really get to it from the top, it can be a little tricky, but some hose, or in my case, steal a kid's straws, the little collapsible ones that make the funny noise, and you just take your time, fill it back up. This one should take about 5 or 6 quarts of fluid, and you know, we'll get it off the ramps, get it level, let it warm up, and we'll check it all out again. So more to come. Another little tip: leave a couple bolts in. This pan's going to be stuck on here pretty good. So that way when you pop it down like I just did, you can see inside that scary automatic transmission, and you can kind of see the filter right there. There's going to be more fluid that doesn't come out with the drain plug, and you don't want that all over you. So we'll let it drain a little bit, get these bolts off, and take a look. Now here's a view of the pan, and there's those 2 magnets I was talking about. You can see on that one just how much metal they capture. That means they're doing their job. So I'll get these cleaned up, and we'll start changing the filter out. We're back again. So what you didn't see was my 2-hour trip to go get the right filter kit. We ordered it from Advance by the VIN code, and it was wrong. So nothing like a Sunday afternoon, pans down, cleaned up, you got everything apart, and I had to drive halfway across the state of Virginia to go get this thing. So now that I'm back home, see if I can figure out how to get this done. Alright, we're done, and I look like I've been to you-know-where and back. Why? Because as I said earlier, we had to go get the right filter, because even though we used the VIN, Advance gave us the wrong one. And then on these newer 09G Volkswagen transmissions, there's not a top fill port. There's not a plug you can pull out like there were on my Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5s. You have to fill it from the bottom. And I needed an M10 by 1.0 adapter, and no hardware store, parts store in town had one, so I essentially shaved down a 1/4 inch clear Tygon tube and threaded it in there. So put everything back in, measured what I got out. I actually only got just over 3 quarts, and so that's what I put back in it. Took it down the road, seems to shift fine. So what was supposed to take an hour has taken all day. But my statement still holds true. Don't take these things to the shop. You can do it yourself. Do prep work for Volkswagen's VW Vortex or YouTube, and excellent sources of information. And had I done a little bit more of that beforehand, I probably wouldn't have wasted most of my Sunday. But it's done. The wife's car's running. It's shifting good. No codes, no lights. Trans temp is fine. And so that'll wrap this one up. And I'll work on getting back on the Lexus and getting something else done. See you later.